People who imagine scenarios before they go to sleep. What is your favorite one to imagine? I do this extremely arrogant thing where I imagine myself nailing interviews on talk shows, or just in general. That and what it'd be like to be on the set of my first film. I do that too, but it keeps me up too long, so I have to remind myself to stop. Cuddling someone. Sometimes I just cuddle a black and shaded in a silhouette of someone in my head. No face, nothing, just them hugging me as they lay on top of my chest or vice versa. You have not unlocked this character yet. That I am a robot that needs to be powered down, so I relax every muscle individually and switch off stuff, and put it into deep breathing mode. Shite like that helps me sleep. I imagine that my consciousness is sent back in time to my younger self, so that all the things I know, all of the things I've learned, I would know as a teen. I like to imagine that the side effect of this process is that I gain a perfect memory, so that everything I've ever read I have instant recall of. I then plan out a way that I could use that knowledge to change my life and sometimes the whole world. It shifts from selfishness to altruism, but it's always fun. OMG, I literally do this exact same thing. I get hungry around bedtime. Like, really hungry. Last night I thought about baking myself a couch-sized chocolate eclair, burrowing my way in there and then eating my way out the other side, like a diabetic hungry caterpillar. In my kind of people. I just try to imagine the me that I know I can be, in shape, financially secure, and traveling. Mostly alcohol is to blame. Well, rather I'm to blame for having a dependency on alcohol, but hopefully I can beat this and live the life I dream of. I'm still somewhat young, so hopefully. You can absolutely do it. Laying in a hammock on a beach listening to the breeze and the waves with a beautiful shade tree overhead. IDKY, but the rocking motion of the hammock knocks me the heck out. That and the fresh breeze in my hair. OMG, this is something I am actually going to try out tonight, though it's both humorous and amazing to me how just imagining the rocking motion would lull you to sleep. Okay, so this is morbid, but I imagine my suicide note. I say goodbye to people I care about and imagine their reactions to my death. Kind of brings me peace. Maybe I'm just fricked up. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Sometimes when I start feeling really depressed at night, I think about my mom's reaction if she walked in my room and saw me after I shot myself in the head. It makes me sort of come to my senses and realize I should stay alive. I've also written a fake suicide note in my head countless times. I feel you. Standing in front of a door in a wall. If I look to my left or right, it's just to the same wall as far as I can see. Behind me is endless desert. On the door there's a counter with the number 20 on it. Every time I breathe in and out again, the counter ticks down by 1. If I get distracted or let my mind wander, the counter resets. I have to focus on the counter and my breathing. Once the counter reaches 0, the door opens and I walk through to an empty hall and up a flight of stairs. At the top of the stairs is a gate and a toll booth where a little man, or sometimes a little woman, in a kind of blue bellhop uniform requires payment before I can go through the gate. His payment is a memory from my day. Not something I want to forget, but something I need to remember. He takes the memory in the form of an old computer punch card and places it in a file with all the other memories he's collected. Then he lifts the gate and lets me walk into the darkness beyond. I don't know what's behind the gate because I tend to fall asleep shortly afterwards. It's weird, I know. But if I don't tell myself this same little play every night, my mind goes ape crap just creating new worlds and characters and scenarios. Which is great when I'm trying to be creative, but a big pain in the balls when I'm trying to sleep. Someone needs to make a novel out of this. Running into my ex in public after not seeing each other for a long time. In every scenario I'm doing something cool like fighting 6 guys at once and she happens to walk by. Or sometimes I have superpowers and I have to fly and save her from a burning building or something. You know, the huge. I see my parents, both of whom passed away, and I'm only 22. And they ask how I'm doing. Hope I'm doing okay. I know it's not real, but it's real enough to me. I like pondering alternate history scenarios. There is so much stuff that if one thing goes another way, a whole domino effect happens. You would like a history what if? Cuddling with the love of my life. He's currently almost completely across the country from me. I feel so safe and happy imagining his arms around me. Same, except she doesn't exist. I like to think about baseball. It's been my favorite sport my whole life and I played it for 10 plus years until my senior year in high school. I was diagnosed with epilepsy and wasn't cleared to play, so I had to quit. I'm not good enough to play in college and I wasn't ever that good anyway, but I loved it and the camaraderie with my team so much that I usually think back to the days when I did play, and usually imagine myself performing way better than I ever did. Sorry to hear that. 3. Okay, I can answer this. Most nights as I lay in bed, I imagine being in a quiet restaurant with large windows looking out over the ocean. It's usually nighttime. This is actually a real restaurant I went to once before on a trip that imprinted itself in my mind for whatever reason. A waiter comes up to me and asks what I would like, and I order whatever I had been craving that day, such as veggie pizzas, platefuls of spaghetti, sandwiches, chocolate cakes, etc. I have a strong imagination, so the experiences are rather realistic and generally a pleasant way to fall asleep. Plus, the general atmosphere of the restaurant is always very calm and relaxing. This sounds like it could be a scene in an Inception sequel. Saving people from a school shooter. Sometimes a cute girl is shot, so I gotta use my genius to make a tourniquet. Sometimes one of my friends is the shooter, so I try to stop them without killing them. It's dumb, but I like to imagine holding hands with someone I really love and just talking and laughing while on a walk on a little road surrounded by flowery fields. Or playing my instrument on a huge stage in front of the biggest crowd and just successfully becoming a professional musician. Living in a cabin in the middle of the woods mountains. There's a natural swimming home between my cabin and my guest house, and there's a metal shop downstream. My cabin has 3 rooms, a studio apartment, a big, cozy library, and a secret behind the bookshelf room for reading. Building blanket forts, kind. Wandering vagrants find my cabin and I let them use my library and stay in my guest house in exchange for their story company. I also imagine that I hold kick-butt parties in the guest house and that all the wandering vagrants are super attractive. The one where all my young, innocent dreams came true. Seriously though, this is one of my favorite things in the world. Going to bed, being comfortable, getting to jump off in your brain and imagine anything in the world you want. I love my brain. I agree with this being a favorite thing. I usually go to bed a half hour before planning to sleep because I want to use that time imagining. I play a game where I take a person and drop them off in a time when dinosaurs are alive. They have to learn to survive. Then, it's on to another era. The Middle Ages is one of my favorite time periods to imagine someone from 2019 survive. I basically just keep jumping ahead in time to various stages until I eventually pass out. Kinda same game, but I take myself and try to figure out how would I survive among the primitive humans. What to try and build first, or how could I get rich if I had the knowledge I have today and got transported to the medieval times, and so on. A scenario where I can actually sleep and not feel like I'm being crushed by anxiety. Kinda like right now when I have to be up in 5 hours for work. I imagine that my bedroom is really the interior of a spaceship traveling through the serene void of space, and I've just put the navigation controls on autopilot so I can get some rest. I'm stealing this one too. That the next morning I don't wake up. Here's a hug. I like to imagine people talking about me, noticing all the signs I give that something's horribly wrong with my life. Then they discuss what they'll do to make me feel better. It's bittersweet, but it helps me sleep. I often imagine just what I want my future daily life to be. Coming home to my husband, currently, boyfriend, having dinner together, going to bed together, learning that we're going to have a baby, all that lovey, mushy stuff. Just cause that's what I really want for my actual future. Winning the lottery and surprising all my family members and exes and friends who have fallen off with enough money so they're set for life, and that I'm going to sleep in my SF penthouse. Same here. Winning the lottery, what I would have to do in the first few weeks months to maintain my sanity and secure a happy life. I like to imagine cuddling with my stuffed animal I lost in a fire when I was a kid. He had bunny ears and a gator tail. I made him myself. Body was a funny zoo animal I can't remember now, but he was a cuddly sucker, that's for sure. How the office would react to some random thing. My mind goes down a rabbit hole of scenarios, basically constructing an episode plot in my head. They don't ever go further than the parking lot, and it's the era before Pam leaves reception. I get different camera perspectives and interviews and all that, but the jokes aren't as funny. Often this transitions from a fun thought before bed to a full dream. It's great and all until Dwight karate chops Pam's pam-pams. Or something equally stupid, because I wake myself up in laughter. It invariably depends on what I've been doing. I've been binge watching Star Trek, so my dreams have been mostly about me living in a post-Dominion War Star Trek universe. Things get really strange when I binge watch multiple shows. House, CSI, Bones make for strange scenarios dreams. I make characters for fun, and a lot of the times I imagine them cuddling, doing something sweet, or crying, which methodically makes me cry as well. My recent favorite has been imagining them saying eulogies for their pals. Yeah, I do this too. I imagine them in a lot of the scenarios people have already posted, except it isn't me and them, it's my characters. I am now 48 years old and I can recall riding the RTD, Los Angeles bus system in the 80s, 460 line from my home to Disneyland. When I cannot sleep, I imagine being on the bus traveling the roads from Norwalk to Buena Park, Knott's Berry Farm, then on to Anaheim. Sometime I make the whole trip to the Disneyland Hotel bus stop. If I make it before I fall asleep, I walk through the parking lot and recall the smells. By the I am out. I was 16 at the time I took this route on a regular basis. Stepping through a portal into my favorite book series. Having to befriend and stay with the characters until I can get home. IDK if this is other people too, but usually something tragic happens and then I come to the rescue. Egg. School shooting, but I've been a secret agent or skilled in guns and crap and take down all the school shooters. Or if I'm sad, it'll be about me dying or something. IDK. I get the girl, grow old with her, and start a family. It's not as outlandish as the others, but it's always the one I come back to. Being a successful and famous entertainer and having the chance to give back to my community and most of all my family in a big way. That really makes me happy sometimes. Buying a house for mum. I've moved away from having an overactive imagination the past few years, but the big one is being a published writer and having an agent, editor, reader, or someone tell me that they're looking forward to my work. Like, dang. That must be amazing for there to be one person interested in your stories, to be a good enough storyteller that you can belong with people, talented enough to fit in. I honestly tear up a bit thinking about how awesome it must be to be welcomed like that. I also imagine being married and raising children. Both of these, of course, also make me really sad to think about because of how far away they are from who I am. I think about hiking for miles through dense forests up the side of mountains. Then when I reach the top, there is a picturesque waterfall that flows into a turquoise blue pond below the other side and a rainbow from the waterfall mist. It's below the top just enough that I'm standing above it all. If I don't imagine this, I replay every stupid thing I've ever done said in the last 20 years. Pretty cheesy, but I always imagine myself as the captain of a starship exploring strange new worlds and stuff. Super comforting to fall asleep to. Being in the arms of my first love. I haven't seen him since high school. It's been about 8 years. I just have this gut feeling that I will eventually see him, and I just hope it's not too late when I do. Some nights it's about defending the planet from aliens. Other nights it's becoming a god and enslaving the world. Sometimes both. I didn't realize that so many other people do this. I tend to imagine indulging in kinks that I would most likely never actually out in real life. Alternatively, I rehearse potential scenarios so I'm not as awkward in real life. I practice conversations, how to react to different situations and the like. I'm 100 months pregnant, or so it seems, and imagine giving birth quite a lot as well. Recently, anything that doesn't describe any kind of impending disaster like major car wrecks, earthquakes, hurricane, tornado, etc. That's all I've been dreaming about lately and it freaks me out at times. I like imagining I'm in a sheltered cave on a beach with surf rolling in and out. My wife and I used to use an ocean surf sleep noise. Combined with that, this scenario would put us into such deep slumbers that it was actually tough to wake up for work in the morning. I make up a future so and imagine them cuddling me or what our relationship would be like and it helps me fall asleep. Probably will be single for a while. I like to imagine that I am someone extremely poor, have hidden superpowers and live in a fantasy world. The story always has some twists, but it's usually me trying to overcome my obstacles and using my drive to achieve something. Just thinking about it gives me chills. I really wish we lived in a world like this. That my crush suddenly turns gay, and he comes up to me and tells me he likes me and wants to be with me, and then we bang. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.